Good morning, AIPAC. Come on the right. Good morning, AIPAC. All the way in the back, because I sat there yesterday. Good morning, AIPAC. Before I begin, can I please ask everyone to join me in giving a round of applause for all the folks who made this convention possible. The incredible AIPAC staff and volunteers, carpenters, Local 49, stagehands, Local 22, HERE food service workers, Local 23, and 32BJ janitors and security. Can I please hear the house give them a big round of applause? Thank you very much. All right, so now that I've gotten you up, we actually, when we saw the pastor on Saturday night shut the house down in such an incredible way where everybody could feel the synergy that just went through this entire convention room. I said to my colleagues that we've been walking in the convention, attending several of the workshops. Next year, the challenge will be for the Latinos that are attending the convention to bring the mariachi at AIPAC. This has been an incredible weekend, an incredible experience, and can only be described, in my humble opinion, and I hope for the politically correct in the room, which we all are, by the way. Do not get offended when I describe that the convention of AIPAC can only be described, in my words, as a Jewish Super Bowl. It's been incredible. You see the intergenerations from young to old. I saw uncles. I had the pleasure of sitting with an uncle and his nephew, and that his uncle had brought him, and it was a really beautiful personal story. I met Ari and Shelly, who are the parents of one of the AIPAC staff, and I had the wonderful experience of breaking bread with them on Saturday. So now I'm moving on to the Spanish lesson of the day. Is everybody okay with that? Okay, so you guys are going to be learning two things today, and then you will join me at the very end of my speech in repeating that to see if you guys all got it right. One, mi causa. Ah, come on, you guys can do better than that. Mi causa. Sí se puede. Sí se puede. The translation of those two is, mi causa is my cause, and sí se puede is yes, we can. Which is not only for me the theme of this weekend, but also the responsibility we all carry as Latinos, as a Jewish community, and I'll come back to that in a minute. I am a union leader. I am Joaquin's mother. I am one of 9 children raised by a single mother. I am a Chicana, and I am AIPAC, okay? Thank you. I walk picket lines, never walk away from a good fight. I lead rallies, I negotiate fair wages and healthcare coverage for my members. The workers and families that I represent and the allies we have created, they are all mi causa. Several years ago, if anyone had asked me what I thought about what was happening in the Middle East, I only knew what I saw on TV. But as a Latina, my immediate response was, it's terrible what's happening to the Palestinians. You see, as Latinos, we identify with the narrative of the underdog and the disenfranchised. You can't blame us because that's the experience that we go through, our community goes through on a daily basis, struggling to be able to provide for our families. But when you're raised by a single mother, a Mexican single mother, you acquire in a household of 9 kids certain life skills that will stay with you forever. Forever. For example, never, ever leave your plate unattended. Learn to share when your mother is watching. Take care of each other. And finally, there are always 2 sides to the story. The media in the United States, however, has not learned the last point, that there are always 2 sides to a story when it comes to Israel. Thank you. I have to introduce the media to my mother so that they can understand that part. In 2012, I received a call from someone who I thought was selling a timeshare. And I'm really proud of AIPAC because they have picked staff that speak so quickly that even Latinos don't understand it, okay? So I'm really proud that AIPAC has really gone out of their way to get somebody that even amongst ourselves we don't understand each other. But I thought initially he was selling me a timeshare. And you have to put this into perspective because at that time, Israel was under attack. Israel was under attack. So a timeshare being sold to me around that time was, besides being nuts, was not where I wanted to go vacation, okay? He invited me to travel with AIPAC on the American Israel Education Foundation. And I thank all of you for your support and your commitment to making sure that the AIEF continues to exist. Thank you. When I arrived in Israel, it changed my life, and I was humbled, extremely, extremely humbled. I saw a young man celebrating his bar mitzvah. I heard the calls of the mosques for prayer time, and I heard the church bells. This was not the Israel I had seen on TV. And I'm sorry that when you are wrong about something, it shakes you because you think you're right you have this certain perspective, and it becomes tunnel vision. But when you are proven wrong, not only do you have to be able to take that, you also have an obligation to correct it. And Israel was something I am completely wrong about. Yes, we can. ¿Sí se puede? Build a bridge between our communities, the Latino community and the Jewish community. The topic of immigration is an issue that's very close to the Latino community. Families have been separated. Mothers, fathers have been stopped at the workplace and taken and detained. This can only be described as the experience and the history of the Jewish community. How families have been torn apart, not knowing where your loved one is. And when you are asked, nobody knows. Nobody can give you an answer. That is something that our community is going through right now. But in Israel, I saw something that the world needs to be able to see, and who I now tell anyone in my circles, Israel is teaching us a lesson about immigration. In the absorption centers, I saw how Israel was teaching immigrants in a humane and dignified way how to become absorbed and how to be able to be part of the community. They were being treated humanely. For Latinos here, for families that have been affected because of immigration, this is an issue that it's unfounding. We have no, I could not come back and describe it as eloquently than to say, in Israel, immigrants are humans. All our community wants is for immigrants to be able to be treated like humans and not criminalized for wanting to provide for their families. And I think that's something that we all share in this room. I invite all of you to join the Latino community in fighting for our issue the same way that our community, through myself through other Latinos attending this convention, will stand with Israel in its defense of its sovereignty and its freedom. While in Israel, I went to Sderot. I met with families, women, children, husbands, and grandparents that all live under the constant threat of rocket attacks. I grew up in a neighborhood where gunshots is what you heard. And it made me, besides making me very strong and very savvy, I could never fathom the thought of my son having to experience and witness rockets flying over his head. I can only say that for my son Joaquin to be an American and to have the luxury of living in the United States, that I can explain to him that even though we have this luxury to be here and live as Americans, that we also have an obligation to have that commitment, that sense of commitment to Israel as well. And that's something that I intend on passing down to my son. Shortly after coming back home, I came back with a new sense of responsibility and commitment to clarifying the misinformation about Israel. It starts at home. Clarifying the misinformation starts at home. For the students that I met yesterday that are the ones that are speaking up on campus, we need to stand with them. We need to be their backup. We need to be able to help them argue the attack on Israel. This March, I'm saying that it starts at home because this March will be 14 years that I've been married with my husband, Gerardo. And thank you. Out of all the arguments we've gotten into, where the furniture should go, he got the wrong color again. It was the wrong superhero or the Lego set. Israel is the only thing I have ever admitted to being wrong about in my 14 years. It's not a bad record, but here I am publicly admitting that I was wrong about Israel, Gerardo. I've been in very heated arguments with colleagues of mine that are in labor, that are out in my community, who disagree about my position on Israel. At the same time, these are the same colleagues that have never been to the Middle East, that have never been to Israel, that have never had a real conversation about the issues, but that still did not stop them from repeating something that, besides being wrong, was also something they knew nothing about. Where I come from, and there's somebody in the back who might beat me. Where I come from, we call that BS. I got you. Israel is about creating allies, and AIPAC is about sustaining relationships, extending those branches, growing, making everyone become an ally. You've helped me appreciate the common core values that we all, Americans, Israelis, Latinos, share. Respect for our freedom. In order to affirm that, we must be committed to wanting to be able to stand with each other. And so today, here I am to say thank you. Thank you for extending your hand to my community and your friendship to me and my family. You have changed my opinion. And I stand here today because Israel is mi causa. Israel es mi causa. ¿Se puede? ¿Se puede? Thank you very much for allowing me to be in your presence, and I hope that we see you out on the picket lines. I stand with Israel. I stand with AIPAC. I will stand proudly here in any podium on any picket line. I am AIPAC, and I thank you.